Welcome back to No Fall Weddings, part of the co-working universe. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We got the college football playoff semifinal recap. Start with the Thursday night game, Ole Miss and Miami, an instant classic. Two different teams, two different conferences, two different philosophies. One team that wants to get up and down the field, get as much plays as they can, and one team just wants to smash you in the face over and over again. It was a very weird game when watching it. The first quarter flies by because Miami just holds on to the ball, continuously runs it for 4 yards a carry, literally. So you get nice third and twos and first down. Keep the clock moving. A lot of field goals, a lot of weird plays, but the fourth quarter was wild. 24 points, four lead changes. And in the end, Miami finishes off with a 31-27 win over Ole Miss. Yet again, Carson Beck's legs were the difference, just like it was in the Ohio State game. Every time turning second and longs and third and longs into third and shorts and fourth and shorts. And Cristobal's like, I got the better offensive line. I got the tougher team. I'm going for it. Not even sneaky plays to get the first down. Just run it up the middle. We're going to get it. And Beck just continuously extending drives, including the walk-in game winner, where he had nothing. Everyone was covered. Rolls right. Still nobody covered. Runs left. Nobody there. Walks right in. It's honestly wild that Miami won that game, and I didn't hear Baines or Mesidor's name on the defensive line all game. All week they talked about how Ole Miss was going to try to get the ball out early, kind of mitigate the Miami pass rush, and I felt like they did that a little bit, but I got to give credit to Ole Miss's offensive line. Like, they held up. I mean, Ole Miss was doing a lot of 7-step dropbacks, and they wanted to throw it down the field. Chambliss, he's electric. Like, he's really good in the pocket. He himself definitely got out of a few sacks, but on the whole, they kept Miami's vaunted defensive line quiet for most of the game. And I'm like, what was Ohio State doing? What were they looking at? What were they scheming? Not the same. And Ole Miss's coach only had a week to figure it out. And that freshman, Malachi Toney, he is a special talent. I don't know about his legit wide receiver skills, but he is a playmaker. I mean, the guy should be in high school right now, and he's just faster than most everybody on the field. Miami knows how to get him the ball, which is exactly what you need when you have a playmaker like that. Don't just have him running, the same 3 routes downfield, screen passes. Just line him up in the backfield. It's how you make him special. Get him the ball. But I got to say, props to Ole Miss, because I really thought Miami was going to blow them out. With all the turmoil that's been going on down there, with the Lane Kiffin drama, with the assistant coaches, whether or not they're staying or going to LSU, they came to play, man. I mean, they got down early, came back, and had every chance to win that game. Like I said earlier, Chambliss is a lot of fun to watch when that offensive line is cooking. He can sling it. He can run. They didn't do a lot of called runs, which surprised me, but when he was able to escape, he's electric. But man, was the tackling a problem. And the announcers brought it up a few times that throughout the year, they're one of the worst tackling teams in the SEC. And that hurt them. They could have held Miami to 2 field goals instead of touchdowns if they just would have wrapped up and tackled. I would say the X factor of this game, though, and why it still should have been a blowout, and which is why I'm cool with how the game ended because the better team won, was because Miami dropped about 17 interceptions. Honestly, I lost count. The amount of times, easy ones too, right through the hands, even some that were like bobbled, and they're just right there. I don't know what was going on with the gloves or with the ball, but man, Miami just could not hold on to it. And if 2 of those are caught, it is the blowout that I thought it would be. It's unfortunate, but we got to talk about the play that everyone talked about the next day. Was that pass interference?
Backpedals, launches to the end zone. Broken up.
Listen, the refs have already inserted themselves enough in the fourth quarter, and that gets really annoying. So I'm cool with it not being an interception. Again, I have no dog in the fight. I don't really like Miami, and I definitely don't like the SEC. So I really just was a neutral watcher. So when it happened live, I'm like, nah, can't call that. I understand that this wasn't a typical Hail Mary where you definitely don't get those calls. This was from the 30-yard line. It was a pretty straight laser throw. So he's not just throwing it to a spot, he's throwing it to a guy. And there's no doubt the Miami DB is grabbing on. He's pulling on the collarbone. He's also kind of looking back for the ball. He's not completely face guarding. I don't want that called in that moment. It wasn't blatant enough. Again, it's close. It's sketchy. But let's be honest. Does Miami really need another controversial pass interference call to go against them? Because trust me, as a Buckeye fan from the 2003 Fiesta Bowl, you don't want to hear their fans bitch about it for the next 20 years. On to the second game of the semifinals, the Peach Bowl. Oregon, Indiana, rematch of a game that happened earlier in the Big Ten. A lot of people thought, well, Oregon will learn from their mistakes. They lost at home. It was definitely the time that Indiana announced themselves to the college football world that, like, hey, we're for real. We're not just kind of a middling, fringe playoff team. No, we're for real. So what was Oregon going to do to change it up? Clearly nothing. That was a Hoosier ass whooping. 56-22. Kurt Signetti is a mad genius. I don't know what else to say. The guy's terrifying, considering he shows no emotion on the field as he's taking Indiana, of all teams, to places they'd never been to. You would act like he's at a funeral. This was kind of the first time I really got to see Fernando Mendoza play well. It's funny, like, yes, they beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. He didn't play that well. He played well against Alabama, but I still thought that was more a lot of the defense and the run game. And even this, he only threw for 176 yards, but when you only have 3 incompletions and 5 touchdowns, and when I'm watching the throws that he's doing, like, yes, he only had 17 completions, but a lot of them were well covered by Ole Miss. He was dotting some of these throws, and not just no screen plays, no 3-yard dump offs. He's throwing it down the field to these boys. He reminds me of a more athletic Kirk Cousins, which I don't know if that equals to number 1 overall pick. This is a really weak draft, so he might get overdrafted, but he looks pretty good. Got the size, got the sneaky athleticism, very accurate. He's how do I say, a veteran. So he's not no young kid that's going to walk in the NFL. I just don't want him going into the Raiders, because the Raiders or the Giants will ruin that guy. What's funny is Oregon actually outgained Indiana. Again, the score is 56-22. Oregon outgained them. But when you have 3 turnovers, including the first play of the game being a pick 6, 1 turnover that led to the ball at the 2-yard line, and the third one inside the 20, you are just setting your defense up for failure. Dante Moore, who's supposed to battle Mendoza for the number 1 pick, he's got some good traits, but man, you can't just drop the ball. You can't turn it over like that. Not in the big games, which kind of coincides with Oregon. Another big game blowout for the Ducks. It's starting to add up, guys. We don't need another Penn State in the Big Ten. So can you win a big one once in a while? I understand losing to Ohio State in the championship game in 2014. I understand losing to Cam Newton a couple of years before that. I understand getting blown out again against Ohio State in the Rose Bowl last year. But, man, losing to Indiana twice in a year, a huge shout out to the Indiana fans. That Peach Bowl, when they showed it from the TV angle, looked like it was 95-5 Indiana fans. That's crazy. Now, they've had 100 years to save up money for this kind of playoff run, but still, Oregon, would you just think, hey, we're not gonna travel for this one. We're gonna wait for the championship game. Whoops. Huge crowd advantage. And that first pick 6, man, must have blown the roof off.
De'Aaron Hill Jr. is the running back. The quick pass is intercepted. It's going to be run in for an Indiana touchdown. D'Angelo Pons on the first play of the game.
So I want to get into what's going on with college football lately, with the portal, NIL, contracts, senior citizens playing teenagers, let's be honest. But we're not going to do that till next week, because we got a national championship game One team looking to return to its national prominence, and another to go from one of the worst programs in the country to a champion in 2 years. Cristobal versus Signetti, Beck versus Mendoza, the U versus IU. Wait a minute. That means no SEC team again. Thank you for watching No Fall Weddings, part of the Cowork universe. Again, please like, comment, subscribe. We'll see everybody next week. We'll have a brand new champion, first one in at least 20 years. We'll talk about the game, talk about the offseason, talk about, again, what's going on with college football, the highs and lows, how everything's changing, and we'll see everybody then.